Hi, everyone. Welcome to Pittsburgh CLO's Close-Ups. I'm Olivia O'Connor. I'm the manager of new work development at Pittsburgh CLO. And we are back for our now bi-weekly episode of Close-Ups. We will be live every other Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern on Facebook and YouTube. Hello. If you are watching us live on Facebook or YouTube, thank you so much for joining us. Please say hi in the comments so we know you're here. And throughout today's conversation, if you have questions for any of our collaborators, please feel free to put them in the comments. We would love to hear from you. And if you're watching us belatedly, if you're watching a recording of this episode, thank you so much for finding us. And while you are on our page, please take a look at our previous episodes. So today, I am so excited to be welcoming some of the collaborators of our Google Doc musical. This is a project that was launched virtually back in April. It is our first ever community writing project. You can see that amazing graphic made by our graphic designer, Steph Barletto. And if you haven't been following the project, the gist is this. We opened up a shared Google document and we invited anyone to request editing access to become a book writer, lyricist, or composer for a brand new jointly written musical. We chose some important elements of the show, things like the title and character names via Facebook polls. And we wound up with a 5-character musical called Jagoff! That takes place in a 3-bedroom apartment. And just about as soon as we began writing, that 3-bedroom apartment found its location in the South Side slopes of Pittsburgh. So our book writer lyricist took that framework and ran with it, working within this shared Google document. They created all of the scenes and all of the lyrics for the show. And our composers then picked up the baton to write original music for those songs. So in the space of about 2.5 months, a wonderful group of 17 people created a completely original one-act musical. We are so excited to be sharing this musical very soon with our audiences. And you see our Google Doc musical collaborators there. I do want to mention that next week, we are really, really excited to share the show with our audiences in a way that's going to continue its open source origins. So next week, we are going to be making the script, the demos, and some amazing rehearsal tracks created by some of our music directors, Bob Newmeyer, Melissa Yanchek, Katie Brown, with the public. And we are going to be inviting all of you to create your own world premieres of the show. What does that mean? Well, it means that you could do a completely staged production in your home. We totally recommend that and applaud that. But it could also mean that you do a single scene. It could mean that you do a rendition of a song. It could mean that you cast one of your pets as Moonwolf. We have a character named Moonwolf who I feel is just crying out for pet casting. And of course, we would love to see what you do with your world premieres. So when we share our materials publicly, we'll also let you know how you can share your own press for your world premieres with us so we can share them with our audiences. I do want to mention that as we were talking about the best way to share the show with our audiences, we were in part inspired by the Play at Home project, which is an amazing commissioning project launched by a great group of theaters, including Baltimore Center Stage, Long Wharf, The Public, the St. Louis Rep, and Woolly Mammoth. And we talked about that project with Brian Quijada on Spark the Conversation back in May. He was one of their writers. So I really encourage you to check out that episode, to check out the Play at Home project. There are so many amazing ways to bring theater into your homes right now. And we hope that this is just one of many projects that you take on and just the beginning of your journey. So finally, after all of that spiel, I'm very excited to actually get to our guests. But first, I want to mention we don't have everyone today. So we have 9 out of our 17 collaborators. These 17 collaborators came from, by my count, at least 5 states. We are so, so lucky to have them. The show truly would not exist without them. And you saw their names, but I also want to acknowledge them out loud. So thank you so much to our book writer, lyricists, Lucas Fideli, Zanny Laird, Chris Latta, Chuck McMichael, Jordana Key, Mimi Roostdiver, and Melissa Trepa. Our composers Jason Call, Nick Grosso, Spencer Grosso, David Michael King, Brian Query, Angie Thompson, and Marissa Wexler. And our triple threat book writer, lyricist, composers Lorraine Kohler, Gideon Temple, and Hank Temple. On the music side, we also had an assist from copyist and arranger Kevin Clark. And like I said, our accompaniment tracks are going to be provided by the incredible Katie Brown, Bob Newmeyer, and Melissa Yanchuk. Thank you all so much. And I so apologize if I am mispronouncing your names, because all of this project has taken place digitally. So I have not spoken out loud to many of our collaborators. So I'm so sorry if I butchered your name, but we are so grateful to have had you on this project. And with that, I want to welcome our first group of collaborators. So we're going to welcome a few, we're going to welcome another few, and then we'll get everybody back in the same room. So let's please say hello to Lucas, Zanny, Chris, Gideon, and Hank.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Thank you all so much for being with us today. We are my computer is at capacity. We have so many guests in this show. So if I glitch out or bug out, please let me know. I'll do my best to hear what I can. So let's go around and say, first of all, who we are, where we are right now, and give us a little snippet of your background in the theater or the arts world. Chris, since you were our first person to sign up for this project, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Chris Latta, and I am coming to you from my kitchen, the corner of my kitchen in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Green Tree to be specific. And I guess I came from this from the point of view of an actor and a person who loves new works and someone who's had the privilege of doing some new works in the past.
Awesome. Zanny, Lucas.
Sweet. Well, we are launching live from Gub's Pub here. That's the name that we've given Win Fideli's home bar in Shaler Township. That's where we are right now. Posters in the back here. We figured it was the most fitting place, but we just moved back to Pittsburgh from New York. I grew up here, but Zanny.
I grew up in Chicago.
And we met here doing a CLO show, and we got married in October, and COVID brought us home to Pittsburgh. So we are here, and this was the very first thing that we did to reconnect with our Pittsburgh homies, and we were so glad that we could be a part of it.
Awesome. Welcome and welcome back. So happy to have you.
Thank
you.
And
Hank and Gideon.
So, hi, I'm Gideon. I just turned 18. And then
I'm Hank. I'm 15.
And we are currently in Snowshoe, West Virginia right now, which is in southern West Virginia. And we started writing songs like 3 years ago. And that's kind of how we got into writing musicals. And now we have a couple musicals we've worked on. And we've performed for a long time as well, in different shows and different venues as well. So that's kind of how we got started doing all this stuff.
And I'm Hank.
Amazing. So I want to ask, and did Gideon speak for you, Hank, or do you want to add something? Do you want to add something more?
He's a good talker.
Yeah, I don't want to assume that you two are on the same page. I know that's always tough in that territory with siblings. So please, by all means. Wonderful. So I do want to start by asking all of you. I have to say, whenever we started this project, I really did not know what to expect. I didn't know how many people would sign up. I didn't know what kind of content we'd wind up with, whether you'd actually be able to follow this story. There have been many wonderful surprises for me along the way. And I would love to hear from you. When you decided to join this project, what were your expectations? And have you been surprised by anything as the collaboration went along? Anyone can jump in.
I mean, when I heard about it, I've written a couple of things before, and knowing and comparing that process to something that would completely be digital, I definitely was interested to see how it would turn out, and I thought that it was quite brave to launch into it. But honestly, I think that it's really cool to have something that's sort of an improv exercise at the same time as it's a writing exercise, and it sort of takes pages out of both. And I think the product we came up with is you can see that in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we heard about it over Facebook. I think our mom sent us an email saying do this. So we did it. Yeah, when we heard about the format, it's very different because we've written musicals, and usually, we spend like a year, coming up with it. And this was a very different process because it all came really fast. And specifically when working on the song, I didn't write the scene prior. So the scene prior kind of set me up to write some of the lyrics for the song, and that was a lot easier than writing your own scenes, I have to say. But yeah.
Chris, you want to chime in?
I don't think anything surprised me because I guess with Lucas, it was sort of an improv. The expectations weren't super high because you were doing it as like an experiment. But for me, the thing that was the surprise is how when I wrote something, people like immediately got where I was going. And maybe that's because I didn't know Lucas was writing on the other end of it right away.
That had a lot to do with it. I saw Chris put down some things. I was like, all right, I know where we are now.
That for me was the surprise is that I would go with my sense of humor and things that I thought were like weirdly funny. And I thought, well, we'll see if anybody gets it. And so when I come back to it the next day or a couple days later, and I'd see that people were on the same trajectory as me, I'd be like, this is amazing.
Yeah. Well, and that you've all kind of alluded to this, but for folks who didn't watch the writing process in real time and who maybe don't actually know what a shared Google document is, can you tell us about what this writing process actually looked like on the screen?
Well, I think real time is super important. On a Google Doc, I could start a sentence, but if Hank was on at the same time and he typed faster than me, he could finish that sentence before I could. So, like Chris said, it happened in real time, and yeah, you could add something and then 5 minutes go to think about it. 5 minutes later, come back and somebody's already picked up where you left off, and that's really cool.
I think that's amazing. Is that there was always material happening, and it was constant, nonstop. So coming back every day and seeing it and. It's exciting.
It could have been a total train wreck.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
So easily.
People, like spewing whatever they want, but it was great to see that everyone got on the same bus. Everyone took the same, trip and journey together, which was a testament to all the people involved. Everyone just like bought in and went with it.
Well, Olivia was very clear when she set up, okay, this is how we're going to do this. The guidelines set it up as an improv exercise and set up that precedent of, all right, pick it up and then just keep carrying it. And I think that I also want to thank everybody here because it seemed that everyone approached it from a really good place, and a place not of ego, but of like, hey, let's do something cool. And I think
I won't lie. As I was writing things that I would like to say.
Oh, Chris, we wrote you that song. That was 29 and Fine is yours. Yeah. No. That's what made it easy.
That song.
No.
Opportunity to speak in Pittsburghese for me is an opportunity.
Exactly. No, but that's sharing your gift.
Yeah, it's so true. Well, and Chris, I am going to be looking, Chris, for your world premiere of this show because I do feel, not by coincidence, that it is tailor-made perhaps for you. Among many other talented actors. So I can't wait to see what you bring to it in the next phase. Amazing. You all are wonderful. And we're going to bring you all back. But first, we are going to say hello to some of our other collaborators. So we are going to momentarily say goodbye to Zanny, Lucas, Hank, Gideon, and Chris. And bye, everybody. And we are going to say hello to some composer folks. Hello, Nick, David, Brian, and Angie.
Hi, everyone.
Hey there.
Hi, everyone. Hi. And so I should mention, so Gideon and Hank, who we just saw, were joining our book writer lyricists, and Gideon and Hank did book music and lyrics. Everyone on this portion of our call is a composer. So let's start off where we did with the other folks and say who we are, where we are, and tell us a little bit about your connection to the theater world or the arts world. Nick, let's start with you.
Cool. Hey, everybody. I'm Nick. Me and my brother were composers. My brother's a little camera shy. He's upstairs. But I speak to you now from sunny South Florida. I go to school at Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh, which is how I kind of got into this. I was interning at CLO when Olivia just was telling some people that hey, we got this idea for this cool Googlebot collaborative thing, and my thing was coming to an end, and I was all sad about it. But then I was like, oh yes, another opportunity to work with you guys. But my musical theater journey was essentially I fell in love with it in high school, and I thought it was interesting, but I never really thought of going into it until Hamilton came out, and I found the sheer transformative power that it could possess. I was like, wow, like I personally enjoy it, but to see that a piece of musical theater can impact the whole world like this. And from then on, I always knew I loved to compose and write songs. And Hamilton's success kind of solidified. I think I want to do it for my life. So that's my story.
Awesome. David, let's have you chime in next.
Sure. David Michael King. I live in the Westwood neighborhood of Pittsburgh. I'm a singer-songwriter. Guitar is my main instrument, and I've been doing that for years. But in the last few years, I just really got hooked on writing musical theater. And what I love about it is the ability to create characters and advance story in a way that pop songs don't do. So that's my primary focus. And when I got interested in that, I joined Musical Theater Artists of Pittsburgh, MTAP, who have been awesome. So, done a number of songs in hot metal musicals. Just finished a 15-minute musical with a book writer, Joey Ma, which we'd like to get into festivals when festivals are up and running again, too. And really, really enjoyed this project.
Wonderful. We're so happy to have you. And yes, big thanks to MTAP. A couple of our collaborators have affiliations with MTAP, and MTAP kindly shared this project with their membership. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We're so happy to have you. And Angie.
I'm Angie Thompson, and I also am in Pittsburgh. I'm in the Oakmont section of Pittsburgh, and I'm a retired music educator, so I taught for 35 years. I was trained as a classical soprano, so I did a lot of performing in musicals, and then I started writing kids musicals. So I've written 3 little mini musicals for kids, and I just really loved it. I appreciate the opportunity to do anything creative during this time. So it was great.
Yay, thank you for being with us. And Brian.
Well, I'm Brian Query. I'm in Armstrong County, a little northeast of the city of Pittsburgh by about 45 minutes. My background is similar to Angie's in a sense of music educator. I've been a teacher for 22 years, a middle school music teacher. More than that, though, I've been composing and writing and arranging for about the last 25, most recently having some works for Wind Band and Chorus published, and now launching into publishing some of my own things. And my background in musical theater is kind of an interesting one because I was never in a show before until my senior year of high school. My high school actually didn't really have a theater department until my senior year. And I got to be in Godspell my senior year of high school, and then went on and played in some pits in college. And since then have just been a patron of shows all across the area. And most recently served as technical director for the musical at the school where I teach for the last several years. So that's kind of where I came into this by seeing the link on Facebook, like some of the other folks had said, and not having done any work with the CLO before, I thought, now let's go for this, see where it goes. And it's been a wonderful experience to be a part of.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. We're so grateful to have you all. And I want to ask, as composers, so you approach this process in a slightly different way than our book writer lyricists, because you came into the process once the libretto was complete, although I know some of you were watching it come together as time went on. And you were, rather than collaborating with someone else directly, you took existing lyrics that our other collaborators wrote, and then you composed to those lyrics. Mm-hmm. So I'd love to hear from you how you approach that process, and if you found that that was a process that was inspiring or that was challenging, to pick up something with these sort of limitations and compose to it. Anyone's welcome to jump in.
I thought it was a little bit easier than some of the other things I've done where I've done the music and the lyrics. So I enjoyed doing that. And I also enjoyed the process of making the music fit the lyric that I was given. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I found it an extremely revealing process. I like Angie, like I'm used to writing my own lyrics and music, and I still don't have a system for that. It's still just like it either happens or it doesn't. I'm either feeling the music or I'm not. But this time, it completely eradicated that having to, oh, I could rewrite this lyric, or oh, this should be different. That was set. And that allowed me then to kind of take the approach of, I was overthinking it at first, but pretty soon I figured out that the music is in the words. When people talk, musicality to that. So my approach to my song eventually was very intuitive. I was just like, let me just say these words out loud, see how that sounds intonationally, and put a backing track to it essentially. And that's how that came to be. It was a really interesting process that I'm carrying with me. It suddenly got me inspired to write my own stuff again. It's been super, super helpful.
For me,
That's great to hear.
It was very interesting for me because I'm not a lyric writer. At least I don't consider myself a decent lyric writer. I write a lot of pieces for instrumental music. So for me, already having the lyrics written was a godsend because they were there and I read them. And, you know, I had lots of different tunes floating around at first, and I'd sit down and tinker on the piano with what I thought worked really well. But, you know, having the lyrics for me was a really, really big benefit. And just to kind of echo what some of the people in the previous group had said, it was really interesting to watch as the script was being written. You'd look at a song as it was going, and then not all the song would be there. You kind of wonder what's going to happen next with it. And that was really intriguing, especially in the initial phases, to kind of see how those words developed.
Awesome.
Yeah, I found it freeing. I mean, I loved having, you know, this is what you're going to work with, because I realized, sort of listening to people here during the show, I've done a lot of collaborating, and to me, sort of collaborating is, okay, we work together on this idea, and each collaborator explains their idea, but I've done very little improvisation. And improvisation, nobody explains their idea. They simply throw it out there, and you have to run with it.
Mm-hmm.
So this
true.
was like the composer. I was the composer doing improvisation with this lyricist who would not explain their work to them. Simply, you run with it. It's your turn. And it was interesting to see how the music flowed from the words, you know, where the accents were falling, what the story was conveying. And so from that, the music sort of came out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's great. It's so wonderful getting to hear all of you talk about this after just seeing your names in my email for a few months. So thank you. And I hear we have a question from our audience from Sharon Everson. Let's see. Sharon, and hi Sharon. Sharon wrote a wonderful piece about Google Doc Musical for the Post-Gazette. So thank you for tuning in, Sharon. Sharon asks, as the deadline approached, was there a rush to find an ending? How did you know you had an and I'll answer this together. So let's bring on back everyone that we spoke to the first time around: Zanny, Lucas, Hank, Gideon, Chris. Awesome. Hi, welcome back, everybody. So now that we are together as a group, we have this question about the end of the show. Talk to us a little bit about your feelings as we approach that ending. Did you feel a rush to find it? And how did you know that you had an ending that works? If you feel like the ending works. Anyone want to chime in on that?
It was interesting because, like, that for me was the most like exciting / nerve-wracking moment, because we had all invested and I knew where I wanted it to go, but I didn't know if everyone at that point, you know, was going to tie it up the same way. So it was for me, it wasn't a rush. It was just like, ooh, who's going to have the last moment? Who's going to be the person that ties it up. And so for me, there was a little bit of anxiety, like, I know where I want it to go. Who, you know, how will this happen? Will I be the one who ties it up, or will somebody else be the one who does it?
Yeah. Other feelings as we approached our ending?
I feel like you need an audience to know if an ending works. So we'll see how the ending works. You know, there are so many stories we hear of shows being written and the ending changing completely after previews and stuff like that. So I don't know. The audience is the other part of the equation.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, that's a great point.
Is that like there was no pressure in a sense because it was just yes and then you took your role and did your thing, and then the next person stepped in. So it kind of allowed everyone to free themselves in a way instead of putting pressure on yourself to like focus on trying to create this perfect product.
Yeah, it's a useful way to just generate, I think. I think it's so easy to get stuck in perfectionism, and it makes it really hard to create anything. So this was a great way to just kind of see what happens when you take that need for perfectionism away. So while we have everyone together, and we're going to stay together for the rest of our time, I want to mention, if you're watching, thank you, Sharon, for that question. If anyone else has questions, please feel free to drop them in, and we'll answer them as we go along. While we have everyone, I do want to ask, this is the first time we've really been in a room together. And so it's been 2.5 months, really 3 months at this point. I want to ask all of you, do you have any questions for each other? Is there something that composers you've been wondering, or book writer lyricists you've been wondering about your mysterious fellow collaborators?
Composer. How many different versions did you do before you finally found the one you liked?
I can jump in there. I was going to say, I wrote the melody probably in about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, being a vocalist, it's writing an accompaniment is a little bit harder for me. But like I told Olivia, you know, when I wrote it, I didn't think it was going to have a little Latin flair. But when I started writing the accompaniment, it started to have a Latin flair. And I was like, whoa, okay, this kind of is not where I thought this was going to go, but it's really cool. And I just ended up, loving it. So.
Yeah, I know for Hank and I, because we were kind of on both sides of it, so we got to, see the book as it was coming together and the lyrics too from the beginning. But he kind of chose which song he wanted to do, and kind of was like, "Do you want to take the first stab at this?" And so musically, I kind of took the first stab, and I don't think we did more than one version on it, but it was just, we made a lot of revisions, but it was kind of like that first idea was already there, and thanks to the lyricists and book writers, just doing such a great job with it. The idea was already there that for us, it was more really finding musically what style, will best fit this show for this song, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it took me a long time to find the final version, but I don't know music technology very well, especially before this, and I can hardly read music. I'm hardly legible. So this is a huge exercise in that. So my brother and I spent a full day just figuring out how to figure out this technology. He's a drummer, so he did this really intense drum track, and he has to plug in every single one. We had to record it several times. So I really it was a minute and a half long song that we did. So we were just this should not be taking this long, but it came together.
Yeah, and I should mention. Oh, go ahead, David.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it took me a day or two to kind of figure out, okay, this is the genre I want. This is sort of the rough outline, the rough contour. But then it must have taken me another week and a half to kind of push myself. And what I mean by that is okay, how can I make this melody more interesting here? How can I use an unexpected chord here, an accidental there? So just sort of get out of my comfort zone. And that took a little bit longer to kind of do it as well. But it was fun. And I'm glad that I put the effort into it.
Yeah, our composer demos, I have to say, are so wonderful. And so when we share these materials next week, what we're going to do for this music is we'll share the composer demos. So you'll hear what folks submitted, and you'll get a kind of feel for the tone of the song. On many of the tracks, you'll actually hear the composers singing their own music, which is so fun. And then we also, like I said, we have these wonderful music directors who are creating accompaniment tracks for us. So what that means is there's a piano-only track that you can sing over if you want. They're also creating vocal tracks of the vocal line so that if you don't read music, you don't play an instrument, you can still learn your vocal part and sing over the accompaniment once you learn it. Although all of that said, I also totally endorse just lip syncing to the composer demos and calling it a day because they're so much fun. So no pressure to perform, to actually sing the songs. If you're at home thinking, oh, I can't really sing, I don't know what to do, I totally endorse lip syncing the songs because the composer demos are really fun. Amazing. So one other question for all of you, and many of you were kind enough to fill out a survey that I sent out asking about your experience, because one of the most important questions I think that we can ask on any project is what can we do better? And so I would love to hear from all of you, if we do Google Doc Musical again, how can we improve it? What would you like to see in a next iteration of this project? Yeah, Hank and Gideon.
Yeah, I thought it was a great process, and I loved the speed of it that we had to get it done. But something I would really enjoy, I think, would actually be getting on like a big Zoom call and kind of talking about characters and jamming on plot lines for a while. I think that would be really interesting and be really valuable to all of us, to talk more about character and kind of have a more singular kind of vision through the character.
Yeah, that's a great point. And that's something I heard from several folks. Does anyone else want to chime in on that, how you would like to see that kind of collaboration moving forward?
You said it well. I think the time that we're all zooming together is a little bit crazy because we've made this thing already. I think if we did this while we're making the thing, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I was interested to see that some folks, everyone really appreciated the generative nature of this and just having to go for it, but that there was also a desire to edit, to go back. And as we know, real musicals take years and years and years to come to fruition. And so it was really interesting to see folks saying, hey, I'd actually like another crack at this. Like, I would like to do draft 2 of this script. So maybe that's something that we can incorporate in a future version of the project. Oh, hi, Lorraine. Lorraine is one of our collaborators. Lorraine, hi. In the process, I think you had a way of keeping us on the same page since we had no communication. Yeah, absolutely, and thank you for asking. So I saw my role here as really a facilitator. And so my job was to make it as easy as possible for all of you to do your creative work. So in addition to doing a little bit of plugging of the project up front, I was the conduit to get into the Google Doc. So if you wanted to be a contributor, you had to email me and request edit access. And I had a set of guidelines, as Lucas actually mentioned, a set of guidelines for how we were going to collaborate on this process. Guidelines for how much to contribute so that we didn't wind up with one person writing a musical, copy pasting a musical off of their home computer in one night and saying that it's done. We had guidelines about how much to contribute. We had guidelines about yes anding what came before. So please don't go back and revise, just continue moving forward. And as the show came together, I would occasionally go into the document to comment on giving thumbs up to things that were really fun, asking questions where we needed questions. I did a plot summary at some point because we had so much content that I realized anyone coming to this document was going to have to do a lot of reading before they could contribute anything. And then as we went on, I kept us all to deadline. I granted us an extension because I can. And I said, let's have an extension. We need more time for this. So we took another week to finish writing, and really just was kind of facilitating, composers tell me the songs that you're most interested in doing, and I'll try to match you with your top picks. That's kind of, I guess that's it. Did I miss anything, folks who I've been emailing for the past couple of months?
You're just
I just want to say thank you so much. You've done an amazing, like, we're keeping us all together.
Olivia.
Oh, sorry, I froze for a second, everybody, but I'm back. So that was.
We were applauding you.
More.
Oh dear, I'm so sorry. I see you. Thank you. I'm guessing that is a thank you. So thank you all. You all were so wonderful to work with. I'm so sorry. I'm having some computer issues.
You're back.
All right. So I have another question for all of you, which is, as we talked about with our book writer lyricists, this is a very specific world. This kind of South Side slopes of Pittsburgh. We have some dialect in the show. Our characters speak with a Pittsburgh.
She disappeared.
Oh no.
She'll be back.
Talk amongst yourselves.
It's not a joke.
I think she was asking us about the dialect.
Yeah.
Lucas?
Hello.
Hi, everybody. My computer is shutting down because of the amount of brilliance and creativity on this call. I'll tell you, it's my internet connection can't take it. But I do believe we have some other questions from our audience. So let's take a couple more questions, and then we will wrap up with a special treat. So another question from our audience, from Kate S. Do you think that not seeing or knowing each other helped to level the playing field? Did it allow the introverts to contribute more? That is such a great question. And I'm guessing as folks on this call, maybe you wouldn't self-describe as introverts, as the folks who kind of self-selected to join us today. But talk to us about what it felt like socially to be doing this.
I'm going to jump on that one. I am a huge introvert, and my biggest problem collaborating always is like, oh my God, would they like this? Would they not? Oh, what if this doesn't align with their vision? And for once, I think this was just a chance to breathe and to not take it seriously, to be like, we're all having fun. We're all just doing this because we love it. Some of us are professionals, some of us are not. Some of us are just getting started. And we're just in this to have fun. So that was a huge, that made this really unique and very helpful for me. Gave me a lot of confidence.
That's great. Other folks want to chime in on that?
I mean, I hate to say it because in theory it does sound like it brings the introverts out of their shells. I mean, you wouldn't believe it, but I am a self-described introvert. I feel like one. And honestly, I had no ideas about where to go until I realized that I did recognize a voice in the writing. And knowing what little I do from 20 years of knowing Chris Latta, and in hearing that voice in there sort of gave me an idea about where to go. So I think it's a double-edged sword. Because also, if you're an introvert, I feel like sometimes having that feeling of family and that acceptance off the bat, at least in my experience with this, it did help me, that sense of familiarity, and it helped me know which way to go.
Yeah, because personally, I'm so used to collaborating with people I've worked with for a while. So collaborating with people I have no idea who they are, don't know if we have the same language or not, in terms of creating a musical, that was like the craziest part about this, because we didn't have time to get to know each other, to talk about what we wanted to create. We just did it. So it kind of was like, well, just don't think and go.
Yeah.
I think maybe it was more. Maybe it was the more yes and that gave you permission to do what you're gonna do, than not really knowing anybody, the anonymity of it. I think the space that Olivia created, saying, we're making this thing, we're doing it together, and whatever's on the page is what it is. So take it and run. I think that's what really made a fertile environment for generating stuff.
Yeah. I think that makes it very freeing.
Mm-hmm.
It's very freeing, and you can just enjoy the journey and not have to worry.
Yeah.
I'll speak on the flip side of that. I'm the furthest thing from an introvert. So for me, I'm one of those people who like, oh, I started writing, and I think maybe next we should, but that wasn't my role in this. My role was to write the song that I needed to write, and like Angie said, to just sit back and then enjoy the ride and watch the thing develop. And that was really, really cool to get to do, especially as somebody who has not had an opportunity to work with the CLO or anything like that before, to be able to input and be able to be a part of that and work with a team of folks, some who have, some who haven't. I think that took the introvert extrovert thing and kind of shaped us all into kind of having one focus on this project.
Yeah, that's such a great point, Brian.
It reminded me of like when a symphony musician auditions, they're behind a screen, so nobody sees what they're doing. There's complete anonymity. And there was a sort of a level of anonymity here, like, because like if I'm in a room with Chris, because I've seen Chris in all these shows and I'm a huge fan, then that's more intimidating. But like it's just like we're just sort of collaborating anonymously. Then I'm feeling a little bit freer, and part of this process. So I think there was a lot to be said for that.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing for me was that I was writing and I was in the middle of writing a scene. Then Brian would pop up on my screen, and I'd be like, "Oh, someone's watching this! Like, this is cool!" Yeah, and that was amazing for me. Yeah,
that's so great to hear. And I see we have another collaborator watching. Hi, Jordana. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, Jordana. It might be Jordana, but Jordana says that this is her first time meeting everyone, and that she chatted with some of the other writers while writing, and that really helped. I remember Jordana is not from Pittsburgh, and she had asked a question while we were writing about like a Pittsburgh drink that we could fill in, and I believe Hank and Gideon chimed in and suggested Red Ribbon soda. So that now appears in the show. So this is the fun that can come from the commenting on the Google Doc, which we really had a lot of great times with. Jordana, like banana, she says. Yay, thank you, Jordana. I'm so glad to know that. Wonderful. So everyone, it has been such a pleasure seeing all of your faces, some familiar faces, some for the first time. Thank you all so much for joining us. And I am so pleased to share that we are ending today with a special treat. We are going to hear a demo from the show of I Get It All Wrong. This is a song sung by the character of Pete after yet another romantic misstep with our protagonist, Karen. I actually think Jordana had a hand in writing these lyrics, so I'm so happy you're watching, Jordana. And Brian Query, who's with us on the call today, was the composer for this piece. So we are going to close out with that song, but I want to say a huge thank you again to all of our collaborators for joining. To everyone who wasn't able to be with us today, but who contributed to this project, thank you so much. This truly would not exist without all of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you're watching at home, thank you so much. And please stay tuned for how you can make your own world premiere of Jagoff! ! And we'll take a listen to this song. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, thank you.
High five, everybody.
Thank you.
Just one place behind the gold medal, not quite the last one on the team. Went to college, it wasn't Harvard. Am I truly living the dream? Lilacs aren't so close to lilies. I know they both start with an net. We were once something I know we could still be, but only time will tell. I get it all wrong. I know I walk right out her door, but could there be something more? One day I know I'll get it right. That could even be tonight. For now I'm still getting it wrong. The days pass and they seem so long. Just one more chance for what could bloom again. Is this a new beginning or an end? I get it all wrong. I know I walk right out her door, but could there be some